Hello and welcome to another PlainTalkJon Reviews The Polls. Today we got a bunch of polls to look at, so let's get all excited about that. Kicking it off with what type of monster cards are you hoping for in Gwent's newest expansion, Harvest of Sorrows. And I'm pleased to report for the 9% of you who wants relics, now that we know what it is, it's more relics. It's more relics, a little bit of organic. But honestly, that's not what people are looking for. We can see here that it's so interesting. It actually catches my eye. Vampires and Death Wish people are craving, and probably because weather was probably more popular back in the day, Dagon and Frost and all the jazz. But now that it's actually fairly decent, Death Wish and Vampires feels like they need some love, and yeah, particularly Vampires. Like, holy crap, Vampires! Just give the people Vampires. That's all apparently they want. Out of 2,600 participants, over 1,300 of them were like, you know what? I know you've been CDPR. I know you've been pushing this new relic archetype, but I hope you ignore that entire archetype so that we can get Vampires. We just want the Vampires. We don't care about the lore of the set. We don't care about anything else. We don't care that you've been pushing relics. Just give me the Vampires. And then somebody pointed out that they actually wrote out text, and I forgot they wrote out text. Let's see. But we had Frost here coming up some speculation that the text that describes the monster card drop, which is give in to the sin of gluttony and join the dark reveries with other sisters. Sounds like Consume and Death Wish, which had a little bit of consuming, a little bit of Death Wishing. It really was Witch's Sabbath, Lesser Witch, but really it ended up being Relic Support. Let's be real, Yaga. But that's Consume, is for consuming your opponent's stuff. And also, CP Red, welcome to the Plain Talk fam. Glad you're joining us here today as we pick our favorite colors. Welcome aboard. If you like what you see, check out the YouTube, Discord, and Twitter, and welcome to the Plain Talk family. And so it ended up being like really relic support. And so it'd be cool. I also thought, by the way, this was a really good call. Alternate version of Brewis to go with Weavis Incantation and Whisper's Tribute. The alternate version of Brewis technically is Ritual Sacrifice, but they never made it. They took it away. They made the Brewis one into an actual spell without our name on it, which is an interesting choice. So I thought your prediction was really hot. I liked it. The second thing is, I'd imagine it's more relic support with the expansion. Does anybody have? Everyone's predicting. Here we go. You are the winner. I'm going to read your comment because you at least spoke for the feelings of the people. Man, I wish that Vampires came back as an archetype, and I'll fix your spelling error. So fun to play, but so weak at the moment. And your feeling person, even though everyone else up here was predicting correctly, your comment was what resonated with the people. So power to you. Do I have the links for the Northern Realms revealed? Chat, I do not anymore. Sorry, I agree wrong, but chat, I'll shut you up. Let's go and look at our next poll today, shall we? How often do you play Gwent with decks that you built yourself? I only play decks that built. It's kind of like a little bit of a bell curve, but the answer is people do all kinds of stuff. Some people never play with decks they build. They don't have time, or that's not the part of the game that excites them. Some people only do it. What I thought was fun here is that deck building matters. This is over 3,000 votes. People had a lot of opinions. Really wanted to say, or figure out what people thought here. The answer is deck building is a part of the game, and it matters more for some people than other people, but it also isn't all of the game. A lot of people, about over 30% of the people, actually 33%, so 1 out of every 3 people who play Gwent rarely or never build their own decks. And then also, paradoxically, nearly a third of people pretty much always, or just strictly always, play their own decks. It is fascinating. Let's read some comments. Google eyes, not googly eyes, Google eyes. That's right. His arch nemesis is Ask Jeeves eyes and Yahoo search eyes, stuff like that. I don't know. I hope that joke hit. Let's take a look here. Creating my own deck is a mode of self-expression. Using someone else's deck would be like playing someone else's MMORPG character and trying to enjoy it. How awkward would that be? Great question, and I'm surprised at the answers. Then Mafias Satano? I've definitely botched it. Sorry, Matthias. I apologize. I create my own decks when the season begins, and when everybody's having fun and testing new ideas. But in late season, everyone's playing pro-ranked decks in any rank of the ladder. I'm pro-ranked, by the way. And that destroys my fun of having a meme deck. A deck I like. Because in the end of the day, it's a game where you want to win. I'm not saying I only have to win, but losing 10 to 12 streaks to the same deck, Cleaver and Hyperthin Nilfgaard, in the last season I played, It's very hard to swallow. And I feel that, right? That's an interesting point. Transition. When everything's chaotic at the beginning, which is my favorite part of any season, it's fantastic. You build, you go crazy. But I can admit, I can test that after 2 weeks when the meta reports come out, I lose a lot more. First 2 weeks, I crush everybody because I'm better at deck building than most people. After 2 weeks, and everyone has the meta decks, and they're like, oh, this top 24 player has put out 3 decks that are all optimized for the ladder. Let me play them. Yeah, I start losing games more often. I love it. I love it. I think it's really good. I think you have a really good point here. And I'm glad you brought this up because that's something that's not captured in the poll. Ultimately, my takeaway from the poll is deck building matters, but not to everybody. But I also think this is a really cool comment, Matthias, showing you that curve. Let's see. What do we got in the chat here? Let's see. John Doe, you're a hardcore deck builder. Does not surprise me. Let's see. Naka, make net deck a lot, but make tech changes very often. Makes sense. Depending on what you're playing in the ladder, you change it. John Doe, Lionheart ripped you off, by the way. You're always causing problems. You're always trying to stir up drama, not causing problems. You actually do a ton for the channel, John Doe, and I'm always appreciative. You are the one who kicks up quietly tries to cook up drama storms, though. But no, John Doe, to be really blunt, a bunch of the other creators have taken some ideas and ran with it. And, like, that's okay. Poll review from Lionheart. I know Spessy started doing community posts on YouTube. I know Bushy's been pushing. I don't know if Bushy did it at the same time or if he came later, but it's been pushing the I review cards every single day. He might have already been doing it, but she's a pretty creative dude. But you know what? It's all good. It's part of the content creation wars. Fortunately, I do it better. Isn't that right, fam? Give me that thumbs up down below. Just kidding. You can do whatever you want. Moving on. Part of the content creation fun. Plug in the new channel. If you've not joined Plain Talk Money, you should. It's coming up straight from like the closed beta. Like this is the alpha access, right? The first, like we're not even 1,000 people there yet. And obviously a bunch of people subscribed and stopped watching the videos. If you want to get in the ground floor of the next part of the Plain Talk fam, get in there, give me feedback, leave comments. I've made it my mission to respond to every comment on the Plain Talk Money channel for quite a while as I work with the family members who are over there right now trying to help me, give me feedback, give me ideas. If you want to see what it's like to go from, hey, I don't really know how to make good content yet, and I don't know what people want, I have to experiment there and build up to it, go there. And if you want to get a feel for what that looks like, feel free to go back to my early channels on the PlainTalkJon channel. You can see what my original content was like and how much I had to evolve it to make it into what I would consider great content. So come along for the ride, plugging it there. That actually wasn't the poll for that day. The poll there was looking at the Syndicate cards for Gwent's newest expansion, Harvest of Sorrows, and how people feel about it. I started doing this, and this was a really fun thing. People thought it was fine. I think this actually had to do with people disliking Syndicate and the power level of the cards. The power level of the Syndicate cards was weaker than I think people were expecting, and they got used to a stronger Syndicate, and people have bad feelings about Tunnel Draw right now. I think that led to this. There was a little bit of back and forth, a good Twitter thread between me and Calvin Netta as we talked about it, so feel free to track that down if you want to hear her takes on it. But I think this was, for me, heavily judged from weaker cards from a faction that people right now really hate. W Kid, Lionheart's on that poll review for a while. Yeah, John Doe. See, you're stirring up drama again. You're lying to me again in chat. You're out of control. Ignore that. By the way, for the record, I love every Gwent content creator. I have no hard feelings against any of them. And taking ideas from each other is obviously a thing that we can all do. That's how content creation works. So don't stir up trauma. Don't stir up trauma. You didn't know, I didn't know too. John Doe, you know what? I don't care. It's your fault for stirring up the drama. How dare you? Let's see here. Let's see what we got. Spessy will release a patch day video like new bounty cards are broken and everyone will forget about them for a month. It cracks me up. Maybe he will. Maybe like something Spessy would do. Hopefully they won't break the meta, so we have yet another month of SY on top of everyone. Yeah, and I think this is what's leading to the it's fine. Funny didn't laugh. That take of like, God, please don't break the meta. Please don't break the meta. Notice also lower poll participation. People just are not interested in Syndicate. To be fair, Syndicate's been in a bad place, so these cards help push it towards a better place. So we'll see. We'll see where we get. Next one. Good participation, not a ton of comments. When do you play Gwent the most? There's a huge spike at the start of the season. It's roughly the same amount for anyone, but nobody really favors towards the middle ender season, which is interesting because people aren't favoring things after the meta reports come out. It's the start of the season when there's new cards and changes that excite people. And for a lot of people, it just doesn't matter. There's no pattern. It's like fit it in when you can. Hey, Regal69, welcome back. How did viewer games yesterday? They were really fun. I had a good time with them. Checking out here. When you play Gwent the most? Let's see. Kevin, DHM. Every Monday to Saturday morning while on a stationary bike. I usually play ranked towards the early part of the session, then meme around and practice versus players towards the end. Love that. Getting your exercise in, being healthy while playing games. Taking full advantage probably of the mobile version, or you have a laptop on a bike, or maybe you've gone crazy and you have a crazy setup. But I like it, Kevin. Keep getting in those pedals. I guess they're not really steps, those rotations. Keep working on it, my friend. And Sam Fisher, I play mostly every day, 1 to 2 matches. Devotion Frost is addictive and fun, win or lose. I like that, right? Doesn't really matter as long as you're playing a fun deck. Just keep it going. Just keep it going. It's a beautiful thing. Moving along. The Skellige cards. How do people like it? They love them. People love the Skellige cards. Does not surprise me. I think Skellige, for me these days, has surpassed. Actually, maybe just people don't participate much in the reviews of the cards. Well, not gonna worry about that. Ignore my comments about this being a little bit low on the votes. This also got low. Anyway, Skellige, in my opinion, has surpassed Monsters and Nilfgaard as the best designed faction. I think it's one of the hardest deck build. Actually, it is the hardest to deck build. Skellige cards are sick. They're interesting. They're neat. You can do cool, complicated things with the Legendary, aka the Fuchsia Briefs Skellige Legendary. It's all I can think is Fuchsia Briefs when I see that card. The bonded card is neat. How do you take advantage of it? Are you going to use Battle Trance? Are you going to lean in more heavily with the Rain with Rage of the Sea? You have the Messenger of the Sea, which rewards you for going bold. And Ryogan is probably not going to see play, but it's a bizarre card. It's interesting. It's bold design. I love it. And ultimately, like at the end of the day, this is becoming the pinnacle of Gwent design. I just don't know what to play anymore. When I have to build a Skellige deck, I sit there and I'm like, crap. I can do Cultists, I can do Druids, they can do Witchers, I can do Warriors, and they all have so much overlap that I have a ton of cards I want to run, and I can only run 25. It's the best feeling in the world. I love building for Skellige. It's also, again, the one that I find hardest. It takes up most of my time. When I stare at a Skellige deck, I'm just like, here's the idea. Holy crap, where do I go? Let's say I want to do Restore Patricidal Fury. Great, I want to run Idoran. Well, what's good of spawning? Well, Druids and Getty spawn a lot. That's really cool. But is that good enough? Do I want to do like more Witcher stuff of Arnagad, and Covenant of Steel's already going to be in the deck to protect Idoran, so maybe I should go that route instead. I can't do it all. Do I hybrid the two? Maybe just do a splash of like Blair Witchers, and maybe I do Battle Trance, but I need Patch Fury. I can't do that. You just start going through and your minds just go. It's awesome. Love it. Whatever the reaction. Jason coming in hot with a Galipio. You know, I shouldn't have attempted that. Jason, my friend. I'm loving the creepy feel of of a lot of the revealed cards so far. I'm hoping that we get some Spectre support in Northern Realms. I'd love to see Drog, Mages, Archetype, bring the faction back to relevance. Well, you got some Wish there with the Mages, but I agree. The feel of the Skellige cards is hot. The feel of Gwent cards lately has been really good. I'm really liking it. I hope they go even further with the arts, making some of them even creepier, making some of them even like more all over the place. I like a diversity of art in games, and I think CDPR knows roughly what the art style is, so I hope they broaden still. I hope they go even creepier. I like it. And then Funny didn't laugh. Ooh, you get into the second video. Congrats, my friend. Our second portion of this video. Let's see here. Really liking the designs. The art and abilities all seem interesting, and in my opinion, a welcome addition. Whether or not they're too strong or weak remains to be seen in the game. I agree. I think the designs are great. I only really care about the designs. The patch notes is where the numbers come in, and I'll help determine what the meta is. But the designs are crisp, fresh, like an apple picked off a tree, and you take a bite out of it, and you're like, this is the best apple I've ever had. It feels like that. It's great. Now, how much that apple costs, we'll see. We'll see in the future, and whether it costs too much, doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Next. Time ready for a controversial question, guys? What are you looking forward to most in the next patch? And it is balance changes. People, almost two-thirds want the balance changes. The other portion of the participants want new cards. Catch him here, Mr. Perfection. Bounce before new cards. Always. New cards are just mean more unbalanced stuff. Well, that fits it for Mr. Perfection, right? He wants all things balanced perfectly. And like a snap of his fingers, you know? Something like that. And Chun Lu. To be honest, it might be low. I apologize. One of the two. To be honest, I just feel exhausted towards the new cards. It's my first Gwent expansion that I'm experiencing firsthand. Remember that one bounce patch when Life Coach came back and everything was actually fun to play? Yeah, that bounce patch was insane. But it's almost impossible to pull that off. To be honest, it's like the once a year kind of deal where you magically end up having the game in such a perfect state where 20 decks are viable. Almost never happens in any card game. So I confess, I love that period. I'm never going to hold my breath. I just look forward to the rare opportunities where it accidentally appears. DDPR is getting better, I think, at it, though. They're getting closer and closer to it. Like, right now, if I go to Team Leviathan Gaming, we'll do their meta report because they do a great job. Shout out to Team Leviathan Gaming. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. Tier 1, right? You have 2 equally balanced Tier 1 decks. There's no clear winner. That's a nice and usual trait. And every faction does have at least something that's okay. Like, they're in ballpark. And notice that for TLG, they don't put the numbers that far apart. You can still go command, or it's Siege Commandos. No, just going, they just say, hey, just go Siege. Siege with some mages. You have a precision strike deck. Like, the only downside is it's very limiting what factions got what. Like, there's a clear best. Ooh, Nature's Gift's showing up. Like that. I just don't like that orb exists. But they like the progress. But I think that kind of a meta is getting closer and closer. We have seen changes. Nilfgaard kind of roaring back to the top. And hopefully we get closer and closer, though. Let's see, catching up with the chat here. Arsene, let's see. I like how, yeah, also, Arsene, loving the SK designs. I appreciate that. Played some Pirates and Druids, and thematically cool. Love that. Plantonius loves all the factions. That's excellent. The Robetoa, let's see. In a new patch, what type of decks would you like to see buffed, etc. Vampires? Honestly, vampires deserve some love, but simply because I think it would keep more people invested in Gwent because people really want vampires to be good. I think more pirate tags need to be distributed, or cards like that reward pirate play and ship play need to be buffed. I was thinking something like the a little bit of side challenge here, but let's see. If I search the word pirate, I think you can add the tag boost allied unit for every pirate, either in hand or in play, or just add the ship tag here. So every pirate and ship in your hand, so you can actually play this for 9 or 10 value if you commit to pirates. I think that would be good. I think pirates are good. I like the undersung factions. Hand buffs are already going to get buffed. I don't really think Storytelling needs more love, though Harmony needs a kind of an overhaul, low-key. I don't think they're going to do it this patch, but hopefully they will. And I think stuff like that, just Forgotten Ones, they'll keep doing it. I think Phoenix dropping the 9 or 8 would be nice as well. Stuff like that. Firesworn needs like a little bit. Careful of Firesworn. Firesworn's mean. Well, there's so much good. So much. Last rate being 6 provision should keep it in range no matter what. Firesworn buff, stuff like that. Plantonius got the right idea. Bandits, you don't have to touch bandits. I think bandits, you want to touch it when you drop a devotion neutral card. That's a bandit. That'd be great. That's my hope. Moving along. Last one. Honestly, the poll the 680 votes should be enough to do this one. I'm gonna do day of poll. This is for the monster reaction. People find them fine. Let's take a look here. What are people saying? People have not had a chance to comment yet, so we'll see. Let's see. Hey, Mr. Perfection. Oh, I see you. You're not top 2 comment yet, but I see you. Oh, you have 2 thumbs up. Maybe I will read yours then. Gustavo's there. A lot of classics in here. Worst reveals in the expansion probably. They look borderline unplayable, except for the one. That can be good if your opponent doesn't have removal. Guess we'll see an actual game they're working out. I would be careful. I don't know if that's going to age well. Yaga is weak, I agree. Lesser Witch can help really push relics, though. Like, that's another couple points for the deck. The Incubus, it also isn't terrible. I'm keep my eye on that one. I'm a little optimistic that a 1F tech of it could be pretty decent in decks. And then we got and I think Witch's Sabbath is very dangerous, so be careful. That's what I think you have the question mark by. I called it the question. I think it's the big question mark is how good is that card gonna be? It's so unique and weird. But it can also outright win you games by bringing back Kelly. Let's see what Gustavo has. They look amazing to me. The interaction of monsters hasn't had before. Your graveyard is as important as your hand and deck, even more so than before. Love it. Good point. Good design expansion, except for Lesser Witch, which is a trash card. Shouldn't have been printed. Super boring. But I agree with you. It technically does something cool, but I think the direction is really good. Mr. Perfection, pretty bad. I'll read your comment. You have 2 thumbs up here. Pretty bad, to be honest. No, not one card that I could say will be strong, but after Relics dominated a few months, it's going to be refreshing without them. That feels like that's such a monkey's paw comment as Lesser Witcher gets printed. The casual 5 for 4, potentially 10 for 4 with the relic tag. Oh, I feel like that might not age well. We'll see. We'll see. Mr. Perfection, you make me nervous with that comment. Well, good luck. I'm not gonna say anything. That's a dangerous comment. Moving on. Anyway, guys, that was a good time. I want to go to wrap up the poll review. Thank you for another week of participation in the polls. I'll keep doing them as long as you guys keep voting in them, and I hope you enjoy the wrap up. Get a little bit of Twitch feedback too, connect the families, and I thank you as always. And keep leaving comments, keep thumbsing them up, keep voting away, and I'll see you all next week. Shout out to Ahmed Ali, pseudonym 81, and McRandar for their generous support on the Patreon.